Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hardcore Fab Shop. If you looked at the thumbnail of this video, you already know what we're doing. We're cutting the back off of this thing and we're turning it into a mega cab. So we can have a little bit more room inside this cab. These things are so small. Now, if you've been following along with the channel and you want to know why I'm doing a mega cab, well, I'm going to explain it to you real quick. If you haven't been following along with the channel and you just want to see what's going on with building a mega cab, just fast forward a couple minutes here because I got to explain to all the loyal people what's going on. So, as you guys know, we got rat stock coming up, and I still have a ton of stuff that I want to do to this and to the trailer. I haven't even done any of the sheet metal work to the trailer yet. So I still have all of that left to do, and there is just no possible way that I'm gonna have enough time to be able to do a sleeper because I've got 16 days left now at this point. So 16 days to do all the crazy sheet metal work that I want to do on the trailer. I still have to plumb the air ride stuff so that it's not with like hand valves and shop air to air it up. I need to bleed the brakes and alignment on the front end and yada yada yada, that kind of stuff. And then I also would like to paint the darn thing and kind of give it a patina paint job, especially after we go cutting on it some more. I mean, we've already got some rust spots that we've patched, and the trailer is obviously going to need painted because it's going to be 27 different colors of ugly, so we got to do something with that. And I think just kind of a patina paint job over the whole thing would tie that all together, but that's not the point of today's video. The point of today's video is I can't do the sleeper, and since I can't do the sleeper, originally I wanted to do a 4-door truck, but that's been done like a million times because I drug my feet for years and years before I ever decided to build one of these. So I did the sleeper so that the sleeper would give me some extra room inside the truck and be able to drive this thing and make it comfortable, because I know from past experience of having this body style truck and pretty much anything this and older, their cabs are so much smaller and they're just not comfortable for someone like me to drive. It kills my knees and I can barely walk when I get out of these darn things if I go for very far. So I needed something that's going to give me an option to have more leg room in here and make it more comfortable to drive for long distances. And that was going to be the main purpose of the sleeper or a 4-door or whatever. But since I don't have time to do that, I think the next best option would be to kind of go with like the Dodge Mega Cab look, where it's just a little bit thicker back here. I only need a few inches, I don't need that much, and I definitely don't want it to look like it's an extended cab or something like that. I don't want it to look like there should be a window. I definitely don't want a window, because any of them that I've seen that have an extended cab with a window back there look horrible. So it's just not my thing, and I'm not into it. So that's what we're doing. We're gonna cut the back of this thing off and turn it into a mega cab, I guess, at this point. So I got one question for you guys real quick before I go ahead and get started working here. Stacks. Should I do them or not? So we was gonna do the side pipes on top of the steps and then dump them out here on the side here by the sleeper. And I think that was gonna be pretty sweet looking, honestly. But no sleeper, and now if we just do a pipe on here and it's just hanging out here in the middle of nothing, I think it's kind of weird. If I just put these down there on those steps, it's kind of weird looking. I messed with that a little bit. So I'm kind of at a crossroads here now where do I go ahead and do the stacks, and I can take the other pipe that we've got, put it underneath and have it come down and go under the cab, and do duals, or just leave it off and just put some, a little bit more pipe and some turn downs on our mufflers that we already have underneath the cab. I could really go either way, and it may come down to the point where I don't have time to do it, so it might not even be an option. But I want your guys' opinion. Would stacks be better, or just leave it off and have a clean cab across the back of here, since we're doing something totally different looking now? So the other thought with stacks is I could actually put a flamethrower in here as well. So that'd be kind of cool. I'd like to play with that at some point, and this could be an option for that. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna get to work. Well, that was probably the easy half that I've got to cut, and that pretty well gets, the outside skin off of there. We still have all the layers of stuff on the inside to do, and I still need to cut it loose with the bottom down here. I think I'm going to leave some of that here on the back of the cab attached to the floor and just leave it there for now to begin with. I'll kind of flip the camera around and kind of show you where I'm looking at cutting at this thing, and then give you guys an idea of what's going on in my head while I'm cutting it. Okay, so the floor kind of comes in here, and then it's got this step up area right here, and then that's where your cab bolts actually go through, and they're held in place there. So all of that stuff needs to stay put. We can't cut into any of that. And if we go cutting into here along the side of this here, it's going to weaken some of that up because there's a box structure that comes up from underneath and kind of goes in there, and I don't want to get into that structure at all. So I think right below where these are kind of popping out here, be popping in on the other side, we'll come in here and we'll cut it just above that floor, and that'll put us, somewhere down in this neighborhood on the back of the cab, and we'll leave this little piece here that's all welded into the floor. And then you can see here along the line of where these spot welds are all at. And then I think they stop right there, and it comes down and around. Kind of see, kind of can't see in there, but anyways, we would cut down along here and along the bottom of that pinch weld, and then come up over and around and back that way. When I pull the cab back and move it back, I want to go ahead and kind of rebuild some of this whole area right in through here anyways, and bring it over and kind of tighten it up around the frame and make it where you can't see all of that. Plus, I want to extend it down to the bottom of the step as well. So just kind of, we'll fill in all of that, and it won't be a big deal the way I'm cutting it to be able to do that. If you're wanting to do it different than that, you might have to cut into all of that and save the back of the cab there on that back corner down there and all that. But like I said, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal for me at all. And then on the inside of this thing, I can see, well, I'll show you here on the outside. So I cut it where it's gonna be pretty well the flattest area that I could, because right here it starts to roll over. So it's pretty flat right through here. And then I come over here and got to a spot in the roof where it's pretty flat through the roof. Any farther back, and it's got, the whole thing's got a crown to it, but it's got more of a dive in it here than it does back over here. So this is gonna be an easier place to fill in. Then on the inside, kind of looking at the same thing, I could go just straight across where that cut is, but that wouldn't be a very good deal to do. So I'm gonna come over here where we're in this metal here, so there's not a bunch of bead rolling and stuff like that to do. We can patch that in way easier. Come all the way down, go right beside the door jamb, go right beside the door jamb, and that'll take the inside of this loose, I think, as well. At least that's what I think it's going to take to be able to get this thing to cut and be apart at that point. I don't see anything else that's going to hold us up, but until I do it, I'm just not going to know. So I guess it's time to start cutting some more. Well, I looked out and Terry showed up at just the right time to help me sit this cab back here, back down off of the back of the frame. So that worked out good, and now I've got a mess to deal with. But we were sitting here talking and BSing back and forth, and he's gone now, but I think I've come up with a plan to be able to mount this back on there the way that I want it to be, and I think it's going to work out pretty slick. So here's the deal. We've got to put this back up there, and I need to kind of eyeball it and figure out what it is that I want for the size to be, because at this point I honestly don't know. I'm just kind of guessing somewhere around the 6-inch neighborhood, but that could be 4 inches, that could be 8 inches, it could be whatever. So I'm going to kind of plan on it being about 6 to begin with at the moment, and we'll just go from there and see if it looks as good as I think it's going to look. So anyways, yeah, the thing that I think is going to work out pretty good is right here on this boxed in area that I was talking about earlier that I don't want to cut into, this big structural piece. I got it cut absolutely perfect right along it over there in the middle, which is pure dumb luck because I didn't measure anything out, and this side over here is down about 1/8 of an inch, and that side over there is up about 1/4, so it could have easily landed in that same spot in the middle, but luckily I got perfect right there. And since it's perfect right there, I think what I want to do is I'm going to put a piece of 1/8 inch plate there, and I'm going to have it extended out past where the cab back is going to be, and I can sit the cab up onto that plate at that point, and then balance it there and kind of slide it around until we get everything kind of dialed in where we want it. And that will keep it at the right height to keep our body lines and everything all right. And then that'll give me something to weld to, once we get to the right spot to wherever it is we want to put it back together. And then I'm going to make some plates that are 1/8 inch and come in here and box these corners all in and weld it to these here, and that'll really stiffen up the bottom of this thing really good. And then we'll go ahead and put some strips back in through all of this, and I'm getting ahead of myself now, but that's kind of what I'm seeing for this thing to go back together. So I need to go ahead now and get this thing all dressed up, get all these burrs off of it and whatnot, and straighten up some of these cuts and get it all ready to start putting back on there. Well, what do you guys think? That's our first look at how this could look. I don't know, I don't even know what we measure out yet. 5.5 and 5. I guess I need to slide it forward and backwards a few times and just kind of stand back over there where you guys are at and get a good look at this a few times here and see how far I want to go. So I'll bring you guys back when I get it figured out, I guess. So I'm starting out, I think, with these panels on the floor down here. That's going to make it rigid enough to where it's not moving around as much. I don't want to take a chance of making my body lines get off or anything like that. So if I do these first, my hope is that's going to hold it in place while I'm messing with everything else, even if I got to be pushing and pulling on stuff or whatever to make it fit. Now I already made this piece here have a curve on the other end. Now I'm just kind of notching it for this little spot here in the corner by the door jamb. If we get this to fit, then we can transfer this over to some metal and go to town. I messed up, made this just a little short, so if I add a little to this side in my drawing here, my cardboard drawing here, my CAD drawing, cardboard assisted drawing. Alright, I got my pattern here that I need, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just use it and transfer it over right onto a sheet of metal. I use the plasma table to get a piece that's close, but it takes more time to draw this stuff up in there than it does just to cut something out and do it by hand sometimes, so that's where we're at on this deal. She is lined up and looking pretty good. It's fairly stable right there. It's not really moving around much. I mean, I can move it a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be an issue for starting to put some panels back in here. I was thinking about going ahead and cutting up like a door or something to be able to make this super easy and fill that in, but I kind of hate to cut up a door just to get that little strip there. So it's not that complicated to be able to make that shape with that body line, and I think I'll just go ahead and find some sheet metal and knock it out real quick. So guys, that's a ton of work. It's all welded in on this side and all ground down up to the top, obviously, you can see that. Got the other side all fitted and welded in there too, and none of it ground yet, so it still needs all of the grinding on that. I'm gonna be here probably pretty much all day tomorrow, would be my guess, to be able to finish the top and finish welding in the floor and a little bit of stuff in the ceiling there and everything as well. So you guys get the idea at this point. I don't know how much more I can entertain you with cutting and grinding and welding. So I'm gonna go ahead and get back to work on this in the morning and get this knocked out, and I'll bring you guys back when I actually got it all done. I am totally digging the way this is turning out. I think I might like it better than what the sleeper was going to look like, maybe. I can't say that 100% for sure because we didn't make the sleeper, but that looks pretty sweet. You can tell me if I'm wrong in the comments or whatever, but with the little stub front end on there and then the bigger back end on there, I really, really dig it. So anyways, we've been working on this thing now for about a week since you've seen it last, and the inside of this sucks. Working inside of there, trying to do the inside of the cab. On that aspect, I'm kind of glad that we didn't do the sleeper, because then we would have had twice or three times as much stuff to do inside that little tiny area of the sleeper, which is basically almost the same size as the inside of the cab. So anyways, bodywork is pretty well close to being there. It's not perfect by any way, shape, or form. Not trying to even act like it is, but it's fairly decent. So we're gonna call it probably, hopefully later today maybe. We've got a little bit of stuff here to do, but before we do that, I wanted to go ahead and show you guys the back of the cab, because the back of the cab turned out pretty awesome. You guys haven't seen that yet. And then I think I'm gonna get back to work on maybe blocking out some of this stuff and fix a couple of the spots like up there on the fenders and whatnot that I haven't touched yet, and try to get this thing into some paint. So my lighting back here is kind of horrible, but you guys get the gist of it. It's tucked in there and way tighter, nicer, cleaner looking than it ever was stock. You can't even see the cab mounts or anything down there. So that's pretty cool. I did take and like this whole edge along there, it's rolled underneath and all that. So it's a nice clean roll all the way around there. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. It looks really good. Well, there she is. We got some paint on the cab. Now, that wasn't my original plan to paint just the cab, but I got to thinking about it, and rather than just doing a quickie scuff and shoot type of thing, I think I'd rather do a little bit nicer paint job on this truck than that. Still have a patina look to it and do a patina paint job, but there's a few more little dents and dings and, you know, some hail damage, and the truck has got runs all over it. Anywhere you look, there's runs from whoever painted it probably back in, 1975 or something, whenever they did it. And all that stuff needs sanded out. You know, there's just stuff that needs time, and time is what we don't have right now. So I think the best approach that I could do was just to go ahead and try to match the cab to the rest of the truck. And I think I've done that pretty well, especially considering that this is just rattle can. So El Quico metal work, El Quico Bondo work, and rattle can paint. And not too bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you look at it close, I'm standing right here, I can see the bodywork in it, and stuff isn't perfect. But from about 10, 15 foot, it looks pretty decent. And a match job for a rattle can match, straight off the shelf too, I mean, that's pretty decent. So I'm pretty happy with it overall, and I really have fallen in love with this truck even more than I thought I was going to. And I really like the extra here on the cab. The whole mega cab looking thing, like, you know, Dodge mega cabs had and all that kind of stuff, has really got me kind of thinking too, with all the time that we spent, you know, doing all the welding and grinding and filling on this thing, that I think I'm going to change the name of the truck. So before we had Hank, and I don't think I ever even showed you guys. We kind of came up with Hank from when we were doing the demo on the camper. This lockout tagout was actually in the camper, and it's from Hank Stanford, and he was motorhome TV guy, apparently, or department. That's what department he was in. So anyways, this was in there. It's pretty cool to find this in there, and this must have been from when he was building the camper from the beginning, because I don't know why else there would be one of them in there otherwise. So pretty cool. And since his name was Hank, and I thought it'd be cool to put this on the key tag or on the keychain, then we were calling the truck Hank. But I don't know, Hank's kind of So my biggest problem with Hank, and believe it or not, I can't remember who it was now off the top of my head, but someone in the comments of the video when we named it Hank had said, "Oh my gosh, you named it a guy's name. Don't ever name your vehicle a guy's name." I was like, kind of weird. Why? What's the difference, you know? And it's like, well, you don't want to take Hank for a ride. You want to take a girl's name for a ride, right? And then it got me thinking, I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to take a Hank for a ride. I would like to take a girl for a ride instead. You're absolutely right. So, yeah, from here on out, no guy names for any of my vehicles. That's going to be stuck in my head now from here on out. So, anyways, thinking of that and having that in the back of my mind for a while now, and then working on this thing and having the mega cab thing going on now, and that kind of being the new theme of the truck or whatever, since we're not going to do the sleeper on it, thought about going ahead and changing the name to Mega 50 and go that route. So I think I'm just going to officially do it right now. New name for the truck is the Mega 50. So there you go. And I think with that, that's probably going to be a wrap on this video, because I need to get back to work. We only have a handful of days left now that I can actually work on the truck. I've got to take a few days off to be able to be with Julie while she's having her operation on the cancer coming up here in the next couple of days. So I'm going to have some time off for that. But I will be back to work on this thing, and we'll definitely have another video for you guys next week on working on it. So I'm going to be back to work on the trailer next week. Gonna get some sheet metal on that thing. Truth be known, I already started on it. It's right behind you guys, right there, and it's looking pretty cool. So you guys want to check that video out for sure. So make sure to tune in next Wednesday at 7 and check that out. And for now, sign off. I'll let you guys later. Thanks for watching. Follow along.